Yeah.
Read. So, can I take it here? Let me bring. Can you come in?
Yeah.
Can
There is enough.
all right. I'll do this. Alright, so autism was just discovered in 1958. That is so early. And Theosophy is as old as it is. So how can Theosophy offer a solution, as I am saying, for autism? First, let's look at what autism really is. There are certain psychic gifts that some of these children are supposed to have. There was a study done in 2018 in Sweden comparing 70 high-functioning autistic children, adults, with high-functioning, with normal, neurotypical 17 people. And there were certain markers. Let's look at just two markers, the rightmost markers. The blue represents autism, the red is the neurotypical person. That is all of you. The blue on the rightmost says telepathic contact. That means people who are able to do thought reading or receive thoughts. The neurotypical person does not have this ability at all, whereas the autistic adult has such ability, or autistic young adult too. Then the second bar represents out-of-body experiences. Persons with autism are known to have such abilities too, whereas neurotypical do not. Now, what are the other psychic gifts that these adults or children can have? Apart from thought reading, they sense emotions, they are able to see clairvoyantly and clairaudiently. Hear clairaudiently. Now, are there any scientific reasons for such gifts? We know many people who have such reasons. Now, the thing is that Theosophy does offer a reason for this, and that is because none of us understand that our physical body is not all we are. Our mind is not in our brain, our heart is not in our heart, as our feelings are not in our heart. In fact, we have a sevenfold body, and in this sevenfold body, which is divided into two parts, a three, which is our permanent self, which we call our soul, which goes from birth to birth, and a four, which is our lower self, our lower quaternary, our impermanent self, the present body that we have. So this is what Theosophy says. We have 7 bodies. We go into what these bodies are as per Theosophy just after this slide. In fact, the Hindu system also says the same thing. Hindu system classifies it into 5 bodies. Sthula Sharira as physical body, Pranamaya Kosha, which is the etheric body, which contains the prana or the life, Pranamaya Kosha. Manomaya Kosha contains 3 bodies, Kamarupa, which is our feelings, our lower mind, and our higher mind. These 3 bodies are part of Theosophical reinterpretation, whereas the Hindu system says only Manomaya Kosha. Then Vijnanamaya Kosha is our buddhic body, which is the wisdom component from all our past births, which we carry from birth to birth, the learnings from every life, and finally the Anandamaya Kosha or the Atma. So this is as per the Hindu system. But the Theosophists talk about it as sevenfold. As I just showed you, the Manomaya component actually, as per the Hindu system, is further divided into higher mind, lower mind, and emotional body, which is what you see in this sevenfold system. Now, why I'm bringing this forward to you is because there was a Theosophist called Laura Kunz, and she was one of the presidents of the Theosophical Society in America. She was a clairvoyant person, and she also started a system of healing called the therapeutic touch. Now, she was able to see clairvoyantly that these children with autism, their etheric body was not properly connected to their physical body. These connections are made by magnetic links. All of these bodies are not really layered, they are literally layered over each other, but they interpenetrate each other also. So the physical body's next connection is not directly the mental body, it is actually the etheric diagram. Just go back to that slide. which shows the bodies. As you can see, the lowermost part here is the physical body. It is directly connected to the etheric double or etheric body. This etheric body is an electromagnetic body which we all have. Many of you would have tried pranic healing. The parents here would have tried every kind of healing. All of you know it. Rub your hands like this and do this. You sense something in between. Something's on you. That is your etheric body which is going all over us. In the case of an autistic child, this body is not properly connected to the physical body. And this is possibly the reason that explains a lot of the symptoms. One of the symptoms is that the children tend to rock, jump, move a lot. Why do they do that? Unless they move, they don't feel they are in their bodies. They feel that they are floating above their bodies. And such a thing has been written in a book by a 13-year-old autistic boy, a Japanese boy, and the title of the book is The Reason I Jump. So next time you see a child who's moving a lot, it's simply because he feels like he's floating over his body. He doesn't feel that he's in his body. Just imagine that. Imagine what the child is going through at that stage. There are other things that happen. Because he is more connected to the other bodies rather than his physical body, he is able to sort of sense things, he is able to understand things that others cannot, read thoughts, read people's feelings, see auras, and because they are sort of cut off from their own physical body, they suffer severe anxiety, not being able to be sure how are they going to be treated. Because here they are behaving oddly and they are aware of their behavior and they move and they can sense all the fear and anxiety that other people have, and that gives them even further anxiety and worry that am I going to now be pushed into a room and locked up? Am I going to be thrown into some home and say, Tata, that's it, I cannot take care of you, it's too much? Is that my future? The anxiety, the worry that these children have is also because they are literally cut off from their own physical body. There's other things that we notice about these children. They love music, they love nature, they like rides. All of these things are non-threatening and they calms their anxiety down. But they need something called assisted communication, which many of the parents know. Which is like if the child is writing something, he needs somebody to touch them. Or sometimes to touch their hand or fingers or arm or even shoulder. Why? That brings that child into their body and helps their mind and their emotions get connected to their brain. Those magnetic links get connected to the magnetism of the mother. The connections are formed. That is why assisted communication is one way in which they can learn a lot. So now you can see why they are able to do thought reading, sense emotions, because they are aware of that world far more than this world. As per Theosophy, and this is where Theosophy can help you, all of you all, parents here and the people who are working as therapists. Theosophy says that all of these are just clouds of vibration. Our thoughts, our mental body, our emotional body are clouds of vibration. We have pictures of these bodies in our books. You can take a look. A lot of the information is available online. Another aspect of autism, which Dr. Pandit also touched, is the savant syndrome. 10% of all autistic children are savants. What does that mean? Extraordinary abilities. For example, this person called Daniel Tanner could remember the number pi to 22,000 digits. That is the first picture. And the second person is an artist who, out of just seeing the aerial view of a city-scape, could draw the entire thing. Stephen Wiltshire from memory. The movie Rain Man, which sort of popularized autism in the neurotypical world, was based on this person called Kim Peek, who had memorized 12,000 books. And he could read 2 books simultaneously at the same time and memorize them. That was just extraordinary. He was a real person. Raymond from Rain Man. Now, this is one aspect which I wanted to cover. The very second, that the etheric double is not properly connected to the physical body. That's the one very important point that I wanted to share. The second point is about autism from another perspective, which is the future and the past of humanity. I have no time for that. I'm not sure whether I should So basically, what Theosophy says that we are not the first race that is there on earth. This race is called the Aryan race, which started 60-70,000 years ago in Middle Asia. But there was a race before that. When that race happened, even the continents looked different. Okay, everything looked different. The continents then were on the Atlantic Ocean. That race was called the Atlantean race. The human body at that time was anywhere between 7 to 25 feet tall. That entire race is underwater. Okay, the system there is, this is called, that was the fourth root race. We are presently in the fifth root race. Before the fourth, there was a third root race. It was called the Lemurian root race. And I don't have images of Lemuria now because there was no time. I decided to cut those off. There are images of Lemuria and Atlantean continents online. These races did exist. What Theosophy says is the next root race, which is the sixth root race, are going to be people whose intuitive levels are much higher than the ones of the fifth root race. That's going to be the next step. But before that fifth root race develops, there's going to be an in-between race, in-between kind of people who may seem as disabled, who are in touch with their intuitions but are not able to function in their normal self. This has been predicted by C.W. Ledbetter, one of our very well-known authors. He wrote the book Chakra, and many of you may have seen that book. Now, if you see the demography of autism, it's just shocking. And also the prevalence of it in the areas in which the next root race, which Theosophy predicts. Theosophy predicts the next root race will happen in the California and Austria belt, and in the Pacific Ocean is where the new lands will rise. That root race is going to happen 1 million years from now, when all of the present root race is going to be underwater. None of us is going to survive. Sorry, Mubiki, all your infrastructure is going to be underwater. That's the fact, that's the problem. Sixth root race will have a new continent altogether. But much before that, we have something, each of these root races have got 7 sub-races. So we are actually in the fifth root race, fifth sub-race. The next sub-race is the sixth sub-race. And what Theosophy says is these children are now growing. The number of these children are growing. And that is why you see the high prevalence of autism. And it's far more in California, 1 in 26, and 1 in, I think, 28 in Australia. So these are the words from Ledbetter. Can't read it now, but this is what he said, that the next root race will come in the Australo-American subsection. And he also talks about the sixth root race. So now you see why these children have all these psychic gifts. They are not deformed humanity. They are the next level of humanity. So the father who's sitting here, maybe that's another topic, and that's possibly the reason they're here. So the thing is, they have, not all of them. Now let's not put that pressure that all of them will have it. Some will have it, some may not have it. Some may have been abused so much that everything is gone. That abuse level can be from anybody. But we don't know what has happened in the child's life. I'd like to bring to attention to all of you, there is one person, Joao Carlos Acosta. He's a non-verbal, non-speaking, highly hyperactive, jumping up and down autistic person who writes books, and he's written this book, Autism, A New Perspective. I mean, he's brilliant. He's available on Facebook, look for him, and just read the beauty of what he writes. His wisdom is something extraordinary. For example, on parental attitude, he says, autism needs parents to open up to love. What must be done first is to reject resignation. There is a closed-off being who longs to be freed from the prison they are in. Thinking that nothing can be done is condemning them to a life sentence. I'm sure none of the parents here, none of the people here are doing that, but this happens. It does happen to young parents. This is the last one line. I want to leave you all with this. On what autism really is. Autism is an invitation to love. It is a condition that does not tolerate pretense and puts love in the true sense of the word to the test.